Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So this is a story from the UK. It's one of those stories that make me question what on earth is going on in the UK. Clearly the NHS is bowed to gender ideology. We've known this for a number of years now, unfortunately. But you would think that a nurse discussing a patient's treatment with a doctor would not get punished for referring to a male patient with he, him pronouns. Because it's quite important that we stick to clear language in hospitals. You would think it would be quite important to avoid any confusion about whether somebody is male or female. So we have a nurse who was discussing a catheter with a doctor over the phone outside a patient's room, a patient who just happened to have come from the men's prison, a patient who happens to be a PDF file. She's speaking to the doctor to make sure that this patient is sent off with the correct treatment, with the correct painkillers, when she could have just had this person discharged and, be on your way. But she was actually trying to make sure that this person could be as comfortable as possible, trying to be nice. She happens to say he and Mr. So-and-so. The patient overhears her and goes on a racist tirade. What if I call you the N-word? How do you feel about that? Comparing that to referring to a man as Mr. This is what this person said. And instead of the hospital to protect her and to do more to support this nurse who basically was abused by this patient, they decide to punish her. Because how dare she refer to a male patient with he, him pronouns? She mentioned, this goes against my faith. I'm not going to refer to you as she, her. I will refer to you by your name, though, by your feminine name. He's probably called Daisy or Ginger or something. They usually pick the most feminine names. So, of course, her mentioning her faith as well triggers him even more. And yeah, he calls her the N-word 3 times. The hospital don't even acknowledge what she went through. And what this case highlights is in the UK, people are being compelled by their employers to use language that is not in line with reality. Whether you're a person of faith or not, you can just simply be a person that doesn't believe a man is a woman. I don't want to have to be forced at my place of work to pretend that a man is a woman. If I'm speaking to a doctor, obviously I'm going to want to be clear on whether the person is male or female. I want to avoid any confusion. I want to stick to the facts. Surely that's important in a hospital. Surely that should count for something. And that shouldn't be met with punishment. So she is now facing disciplinary actions. She's essentially been demoted. It's affected her income. So she felt she had no choice but to seek legal action to hold this NHS trust accountable for offering her no support and turning around and punishing her when she's the one who was subjected to racial abuse. She's the one who simply wanted to refer to this person accurately when speaking to a doctor. So this is Jennifer Millay, 40. This is a hospital in Surrey. She said, "This is a real-life medical scenario that required accurate terminology to avoid any doubt between medical professionals." It's as simple as that. She was discussing a catheter. I think it's important to know whether someone's male or female when it comes to catheters. So when it all kicked off, she said, "Sorry, I cannot refer to you as her or she, as it's against my faith and Christian values, but I can call you by your name." The patient began to verbally abuse the nurse, saying, "Imagine if I called you the N-word. How about I call you the N-word? Yes, black N-word." The patient, who was restrained because he came from a high security prison, lunged at Jennifer. And rather than questioning what we could have done to protect our nurse, what we could have done to prevent this from happening in the first place, they turn around and punish her.
When my colleague ran towards me in distress, she was so shaken, and she said, "Jennifer, I need help. There's a patient that needs, he just says he wants to self-discharge," very outrageous, causing mayhem and very disruptive to the rest of the patient, being a trauma and orthopedic ward.
And there wasn't a doctor, so it was your job to go and sort this?
Yes, it has a nurse in charge.
Yeah.
So I had to support her. So my question for her was like, did you bleep the doctor? Because that would be the next step if someone wanted to self-discharge. And she said yes, and I said, okay, I'll come and help you. You know, she was a new nurse in the ward, and being a junior nurse, she needed a lot of support. So in that case, I said, when you phone the doctor, I'll take over and I just support you and let, if he wants to self-discharge, if there's anything at all we can do before letting him go. I was trying actually to be nice. Usually, you know, we would just let them go. But in this case, I was trying to help so we can get some medication and stuff if he wanted anything for pain. And so luckily when the doctor phoned back, and I just spoke to the doctor and I said, Mr. X would like to self-discharge. What can we do? Is there anything we can do? Would you like to prescribe anything we can give him? And they overheard me, obviously. I wasn't too far from the nursing station and began yelling and rowing. I'm a miss. Don't call me this.
Sorry, I just want to make one point.
Yes.
You have to say
yes.
This is a male because I understand it involved a catheter.
Yes.
So it would have been confusing medically
yes.
to try and explain.
Because this was a urology doctor.
Yes.
Yes, and I had to identify, yes, and that's what I did.
So then he starts effing and blinding and throwing the N-word around because she was trying to do her job and trying to make sure that he could leave the hospital comfortably or go back to prison, which is where this person belongs, obviously.
So in this case, he became so outrageous and began to call me the N-word multiple times. And despite me trying to calm the situation, I said, I'm trying to help you. Usually would just call security for you and send you, you know, they'll come and just walk you out.
And he lunged for you, didn't he?
And yes,
right?
Yes, he had 2 prison guards. And with chains and buffed on his legs as well. And he was lashing, actually got out of bed, lashing at me. And I was shaking. I had to just take a few steps back. Racially abused. And calling me the N-word multiple times. And I said, you got to calm down. And at that point, I was shaking. I had to just walk away and leave the environment.
You explained to him that
yes.
he was upset because you weren't addressing him as
yes.
female, and you explained to him, look, I'm happy to call you by the preferred name that you want,
yes.
but this goes against my belief
Christian faith. And I said, I'm happy to call you by your preferred name, feminine name that you know we had on the board. I said, I'm happy to call you that, but I cannot refer to you as
that's your
yes,
right. You
yes,
have gender critical beliefs. We have the right to have those beliefs.
She said that because she was providing an explanation as to why. I'm not going to now turn around and be like, you know, groveling to you and saying, oh, sorry, ma'am. Sorry, Mrs. So-and-so. Because she didn't respond that way. She knew she wasn't going to respond that way. She provided the explanation that it goes against my faith. Now, of course, you don't have to be a Christian or have a particular faith to simply not want to refer to a man as she, her. And you shouldn't be forced to do so. There's only one religion that they care about above everything else, and that's the religion of gender ideology, or the cult of gender ideology. And the thing is, I don't know how freedom of speech works in the UK anymore, but apparently it's dead, okay? Freedom of speech is dead in the UK. You cannot compel somebody to refer to you as she, her, when you are a man. It's one thing if someone chooses to do that because they want to, you know, respect your pronouns, whatever. But you cannot compel people to do that. She was perfectly polite. She didn't call this person, you know, a derogatory term like he did. People should not be forced into that situation, especially in a hospital, especially when they're at work trying to do their job. But apparently that's exactly where they're forced to do it, because she went on to be punished. It wasn't even as if she was going out of her way to use he, him pronouns to offend this person. She was overheard speaking to a doctor. And of course you have to be accurate when referring to a patient using language that makes it clear that this person is either male or female. Of course, you have to be accurate. They are trying to compel her to bow to gender ideology.
The next move was to take me through panels and to try to, they were trying to make me conform.
So Christian Concern is the organisation supporting her. And they said the story is the latest in a series of cases where NHS policy supports trans ideology over biological reality. It also follows the publication of the Sullivan report this week, which revealed that the police are allowing criminals to self-identify their gender on official records. In this case, policy has led, in the name of inclusivity, to the NHS siding with a PDF file convicted of serious offences while pretending to be the opposite sex over members of staff with Christian and gender-critical beliefs. So in October 2024, she was summoned and had to attend a disciplinary hearing. She was given a final written warning and has been referred to the Nursing and Midwifery Council. Since the incident, she has been moved to another ward and effectively demoted. Her name was wiped off the internal system, making it difficult to apply for extra shifts at the hospital. Her capacity to earn much needed extra money was therefore removed, and she and her family have suffered as a result. So a person shouldn't be compelled to use preferred pronouns because they have the freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. So regardless of somebody's religion, even just not wanting to buy into gender ideology, even just not wanting to call a man a woman, that needs to be respected. People shouldn't be compelled to go along with an ideology at their place of work. So they're trying to say that her mentioning her faith is where she broke the rules or whatever. But she did that to provide an explanation. And she was the one who was subjected to harassment and abuse, racial abuse. And she was offered no support. In fact, they turned around and punished her because she was overheard referring to this patient with the correct pronouns because this person is male. You're talking about medication, you're talking about catheters. I think it's important that you use appropriate language. So in my opinion, she did nothing wrong. She doesn't deserve such treatment from her employer. And they should have done better in protecting her from this person, quite frankly.
And by the way, did they address the racist attack that happened to you? Did they provide any counselling or try and see if you were okay?
I don't think they were concerned about my feelings or how I was racially abused. They were saying, referring to the patient as, you know, if the patient is their first concern, which is my first concern. That's why I'm a nurse. I'm a very passionate nurse and I love my job.
It would be absurd for somebody to say, you need to refer to me as the master of the universe. This is no different, in my opinion. Absolutely disgraceful, and it's very concerning that the NHS is practicing this ideology. It's very concerning that nurses are being encouraged to pretend to not know what a woman is, to pretend to not know what a man is, in a place where it's quite crucial to actually adhere to biology and actually acknowledge biological fact. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. Take care of yourselves, and God willing, I will see you in the next video.